Sports anime are among the most consistent and creative anime genres out there, yet at the same time, it's also generally a very underappreciated genre. If you know me well, you would know that I'm a massive fan of sports anime and manga. I find it to be a very passionate genre that constantly inspires and encourages me. Well, if you didn't know this about me, then here's your chance to get to know me better by clicking on the subscribe button and sharing this video. It helps a young channel like mine a ton. Despite the title of the video being the best sports anime, I want to present the idea that there is no anime that is objectively the best one out there. Fiction is a very personal experience, and our favorites vary depending on the types of stories we want to see and resonate with. Instead of simply talking about my favorite sports anime, I think there is more value to be had in doing something different. Here I want to highlight, talk about and pitch 15 amazing sports anime that you need to check out. 15 sports anime that could be anybody's best sports anime ever. But before I do, I need to answer this very important question that always keeps coming up if you're new to sports in anime. Why sports anime? Why not just watch regular sports instead? Is there value to be had in watching sports anime? It's a reasonable question to have, especially if you're new to sports anime. What's so appealing about sports anime is that it's actually a very unique genre. It's a type of anime where we not only get the hype and excitement that people get while watching regular sports, but here we also get to know the people playing these sports on a more personal level. We also get a more psychological perspective of the people playing the sport through various narrative devices such as inner monologues, which is kind of awkward to do in other medium. I feel like some people have a narrow idea of what a sports anime should be like. Sports anime can be exciting, intense, or drama heavy and psychological. It can be set in high school or at the professional stage. It's not at all a limited genre as some people might think. Now that we got this important question out of the way, let's start off this list with the most popular sports anime of the last 10 years. Haikyuu is an anime that quickly became one of the most popular, accessible and beloved anime of all time, and deservingly so. If you're one of the few people who haven't heard about Haikyuu yet, it's a volleyball anime set in high school following a boy determined to become a great volleyball player despite his small stature. It's an inspiring underdog tale with a great ensemble cast of characters and a strong thematic core about talent and hard work. Haikyuu has about 4 seasons with a total of 85 episodes, adapting about 3/4 of the manga. There are 2 ways you could experience Haikyuu in my opinion. The first way is to obviously watch the entire anime and wait for future sequels to come out. This would be how I suggest most viewers to experience Haikyuu. But if you're the type of person who gets affected by production issues in an adaptation, then this is a good chart made by a friend of mine to experience Haikyuu in the best way possible, considering both the anime and the manga, because apparently season 4 has some production issues. But the anime is great enough on its own, and waiting for a new season with the Haikyuu community is also super fun. I wanted my next recommendation to be very different from Haikyuu, but just as good if not better. What's special about Major that makes it stand apart from the others of the genre is that it follows the entire life of its protagonist from a very young age to him at the peak of his professional career in his mid-20s in its 6-season, 156 episode runtime. It's basically the biography of a sportsperson who doesn't exist in real life, from his personal life to his professional career. It's a series that focuses on a lot of different settings, from elementary school baseball tournaments to competitive high school club baseball, which we are used to seeing in anime, and even the more behind the scenes issues a sports professional has to face. You see the protagonist grow as a person, a baseball player, and you see him fail, get stronger, build relationships, and we get this parental attachment to the protagonist. Major was one of the best anime experiences I've ever had, but it all depends on how much you care about the protagonist, and if you don't like him, then you wouldn't enjoy the series as much as I did. I want to keep going with this trend of listing out anime that are completely different from the previous ones I've listed out. This time, instead of focusing on longer series like the previous two works, I want to focus on a short but completed show. Run with the Wind is a running anime set in college where a character living in a dormitory tries to recruit his roommates to run with him as a team in Hakone Ekiden, one of the most prominent college marathon runs in Japan. I wanted the next series on this list to be fairly short, and Run with the Wind is one of the best examples of a sports anime that fulfilled this condition. It's a 24 episode completed anime with a diverse and relatable cast of characters. The dialogues are extremely well written and natural, the show looks and sounds great, and it's overall a super inspiring story about people who aren't athletes trying to be at one of the most athletic events in Japan. It also has a phenomenal conclusion and so is a great product of anime. I highly recommend watching it if you want a short, great anime centered around college friendships and a theme about reigniting your passion in something. Have you guys ever wanted to see a character like Yagami Light from Death Note play a sport, kind of like the time when he played tennis with L? Well then, here's the exact show you're looking for. One Outs is a psychological baseball anime about a selfish, cunning and scheming protagonist trying to take over a baseball league in Japan. What's interesting about this show is how the protagonist isn't in love with the sport he's playing and is simply making use of his talent in baseball to make money. He's a genuinely fun and badass character to follow. The mind games and gambling aspects are also fantastic and extremely well done. It's just a fun ride overall. It has about 25 episodes, but the only problem is that the anime is incomplete with no sequel in sight, and you would have to read the manga to experience more of the series. Other than that, it's a great looking show produced by Madhouse Studios, one of the best anime studios at their peak. I genuinely recommend checking it out if you want to see an interesting show with an interesting protagonist that you don't see much in sports anime. By the way, since we are on the subject of Madhouse anime, arguably one of the, if not the most well-produced long-running anime by one of the best anime studios of all time. It's not just a fantastic boxing anime, but just one of the best action anime period. The fight scenes are just phenomenal with some of the best action choreography you will find in an anime. You feel the weight of each and every punches. It's simply a brutal work of art. It's a 125 episode 3-season anime following a timid boy, a victim of severe bullying, trying to become stronger physically and mentally as a person. It's created by a mangaka who's super passionate about the series, publishing over 1300 chapters for the series. Even though I was fanboying its fight scenes a moment ago, its comedy and heartwarming scenes are as powerful and impactful as its best action scenes. It is by far one of the most well-balanced anime and manga to ever come out of Japan. Let us get back to our list with an extremely influential classic anime. Initial D is an anime based off of illegal drift racing. The story is about an 18-year-old high schooler who works as a delivery boy for a tofu shop that his family owns. He gets extremely good at driving as he has to deliver across mountain passes and eventually gets forced into being an illegal drift racer, and it's this story about him slowly loving to race, which used to be a family chore to do. It's an anime that in all honesty shouldn't look this good, Animating cars for episodes and episodes would have been a nightmare to do, but the show does it extremely well. It also has one of the most exciting and iconic OSTs of all time. It has about 77 episodes in total, spanning 6 seasons. It's fun, it's chaotic, it's nerdy, it's one hell of a ride. Now that we are at the halfway point of the list, it's time I talked about my personal favorite sports anime. Hey, 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 blues. Ashtano Joe is personally a very special series to me. It's undoubtedly one of the most important and influential anime and manga to ever come out. It's an anime that started airing in 1970 with the 1980 sequel to end the story off with. Not only is the series the most influential sports anime of all time, it's also my personal favorite. If someone had asked me what the best sports anime or manga was, I would 100% say it was Ashtano Joe. It's a story about a 15-year-old delinquent orphan trying to find his passion and place in life through boxing. It has my second favorite protagonist in anime, and it will always be a story that I would remember for the rest of my life. There are basically two ways I would recommend someone to watch Ashtano Joe. The first way, and the one I would always suggest, is to watch the first 53 episodes of season 1 and then watch the entirety of season 2. But if you find the anime hard to watch because of how old the first season is, then read the first 8 volumes of the manga and then watch season 2. The anime is directed by the all-time legendary anime director Osamu Dezaki, so I would highly recommend you to check out the anime if possible. Sports anime usually do a very good job at making us interested in a sport we don't know much about, but no series does it as well as the next series on this list. Furu is one of the most consistent anime I've laid eyes on. It's a show about a traditional Japanese sport called karuta. The basic idea of the sport is to be able to quickly determine which card out of an array of cards is required and then to grab the card before it is grabbed by an opponent. It sounds like a simple sport that is somewhat boring to watch, yet Furu does an amazing job at making you captivated by the matches. The games are super intense and exciting. The show does a great job at explaining all the rules of the game. What's so special about this sport and the series is its diversity. In this series, characters play against each other irrespective of their gender and age group. It has one of the most rich cast of characters I've seen in a sports anime. You see all kinds of people, how Karuta changed their lives, and characters who even provide a more historical perspective of the sport. It has around 75 episodes in total and a great female protagonist and my favorite protagonist in anime. It's an amazing experience that everyone needs to check out. Slam Dunk is one of the most exciting manga experiences I've ever had. Yes, you heard it correctly. I ended up reading the manga instead of the anime, but I have heard that the anime is quite good, and seeing that a sequel movie is coming out makes this a good opportunity for people to check it out in whichever medium you prefer experiencing it in. Slam Dunk is an influential basketball anime and manga from the 90s, which is primarily focused on a delinquent cast of badass characters following a protagonist who's naturally talented for the game but is somewhat disinterested, and the only reason he joined the basketball club was to impress his crush who's big into basketball. It's a very fun and inspiring journey to follow. The reason I read the manga was because it was made by none other than Takehiko Inoue, the creator of Vagabond and Real, and I had to experience it through his gorgeous drawings. The final arc is one of the most memorable sports match experiences I've had in fiction, and it's simply an outstanding read. Now it is finally time to talk about a show that many people consider to be an anime of the decade contender of the last decade. Oh, yeah! Ping Pong is a show about passion and the nature of talent, following two very different main characters, the dynamic between them and the characters around them. It's a unique and artistic anime created by one of the most talented directors in the current anime industry, Masaki Yuasa, and written by one of the best mangaka of all time, Taiyo Matsumoto. Where Ping Pong really shines is in its efficiency. In just a short amount of 11 episodes, it manages to encapsulate its theming, character work, and its fairly large scale plot masterfully, with a unique aesthetic and a gorgeous soundtrack. The amount of character development in such a short time, even for unexpected characters, is staggering. It's an outstanding show which is definitely a contender for anime of the decade in the 2010s. Welcome to the Ballroom is an underappreciated anime and manga about ballroom dancing, made by the same staff as Haikyuu. It's a story about a boy with no passion in life trying to see if ballroom dancing is for him. It's like a combination of Hajime no Ippo's main premise with the artistic flair of Haikyuu. It's quite similar to a lot of other shows of the genre, but the character dynamics here is what makes it stand out. Ballroom dancing is a sport that requires a partner to synchronize yourself with, and the main focus of the story is about this connection you have with your partner and the several problems you might face together. It's a gorgeous anime, but the manga is even better with some absolutely incredible artwork. I feel like you could experience the series in any medium you prefer. There are some really accessible anime that somehow unfortunately end up not being popular. Baby Steps is one of these shows. It has everything that a mainstream show should have, yet it didn't end up reaching the mainstream. It's easily one of my favorite sports anime. It's a tennis anime with a super intriguing, engaging, and entertaining protagonist. The protagonist is a class topper who simply starts playing tennis as a random hobby he took up as a break from studies. And it's this very heartfelt journey of him slowly falling in love with the sport and making a career out of it. It has a really nice romantic subplot, and I love the fact that despite the characters being focused on high schoolers, most of the show is centered around the professional field of tennis, quite like Hajime no Ippo's. Let's look at another amazing retro sports anime that's too underrated for a show of this quality. Touch is a classic anime from the 1980s with about 101 episodes. It's a show more on the slice of life side, but it's a super well written baseball anime with some of the best emotional roller coasters you'll find in the genre. It's a show about two twins, one who's a talented, hardworking superstar, great at studies and the ace of the basketball club at high school, and his brother, and our protagonist, who's a lazy delinquent boy who's not special in any way and always compared to his brother. It's a story about whether or not he wants to work hard and see if he could match up to his brother and be his own person. If you're someone who's not big on older anime, I'd recommend its manga as the manga is also quite amazing. Ace of Diamond is an exciting traditional shonen baseball series quite similar to Haikyuu, with an amazing cast of characters, an inventive setting, and a story that's bold enough to subvert expectations in unexpected ways. It's a 175 episode anime about a first year high schooler who's a complete amateur at baseball but is quite passionate about it. Scouted to one of the most prestigious baseball schools in Japan for his innate talent. What's special about Ace of Diamond is the fact that the team the protagonist is in is a powerhouse team, and the rival characters are the type of characters you see and root for in traditional underdog stories. It's a very interesting but different approach for a shonen baseball series, but at the same time, the protagonist is a newbie, and him being a regular team member and competing with his own team members is a big part of the show. So it's a powerhouse and an underdog tale at the same time, which is quite interesting and extremely well executed. Let us end this list with a more exaggerated form of sports anime. These days, I've started noticing that people hate on sports anime that are not grounded in reality. It's an understandable displeasure to have, since sports in general is a very grounded form of entertainment. But regardless of your personal preferences, I don't think people should shame others for liking more exaggerated sports anime, as animation is a completely different medium which is perfect for doing this sort of thing. Kuroko no Basket is a great example of an exaggerated sports anime that can also be somewhat grounded to basketball but still be chaotic and fun. Kuroko is also a consistently amazingly produced completed anime in a trilogy of seasons. I think it's a great package of anime for people looking for a fun experience with a strong cast of antagonist characters. I hope you guys got some good recommendations, found new shows to love, and got some value from this video. I want more people to love this genre and check out the many amazing series the genre has to offer. I had a lot more sports anime and manga that I initially wanted to talk about, but the video is already too long and I also wanted to keep it strictly anime only. Maybe I'll make a future video talking about those works. Sports anime is vast in quality and diversity. It's a genre that can comfort you when you're down, get you back into the medium if you're suffering from an anime binge fatigue. Thank you for watching this video and subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed it. It helps encourage me to do more videos since I already have a lot more video ideas I want to work on, but I don't know if there are enough people who might be interested in them. I hope everyone has a great day and put some new shows in your plan to watch list. See you guys next time.